Hello everyone, welcome back. So I have recorded this session just to show you the topics that I will be covering as part of my whole Python journey. Okay, so my journey will start with introduction to Python, and the session for this topic I have already created and I have already provided the link in this session. So you can just go there and understand what is Python, who created Python, when it was created, then what are the different features of Python. So all those things has been covered already in this session. Okay, then our next session will be how Python compiler works. So in this session we will see how when we execute our code either in IDE or in command prompt, so what happens. So Python is both a compiled as well as interpreted language. So what will happen, just it will take the code, Python will take that code and it will generate the byte code. Okay, and then this byte code with the help of the PVM is converted it into the machine code, because our CPU understands machine code only. Okay, so I'll discuss this in detail in this session, how Python compiler works. Then we will see how to install Python on our local system. So in the very same session I'll be doing two things. First one is installing the Python software on the local system, on Windows system, and then I'll show you the official library of Python from where we can download the software. Also, just for the easier use of our Python programming language, we will download and install PyCharm IDE also, because IDE makes the code writing and debugging and execution tasks easier. Okay, so I'll be using PyCharm IDE. There are other IDEs available, so as per your convenience, if you want to use some other IDE you can use it, but in my whole Python journey I'll be using PyCharm Community Edition. Okay, and I'll be executing all my codes in the PyCharm only. So I'll show you how to install Python as well as PyCharm IDE on your local system. Then we will talk about libraries. So what is library in any programming language? Then we will say how we can import the library in our Python code. So there are two types of libraries, or you can say module in Python program. First one is the Python own module, and second one is you can create your own module as well, which we call it as a user defined module. Okay, so I'll show you how we can import libraries in our Python code and then how we can use that library in our code. Then once we understand libraries, then we will straight move on to writing some simple Python program. So the very first program, definitely when we learn any programming language, we used to print hello world string in any programming language, and then apart from this we will be writing here some simple programming languages using some mathematical formulas. So I'll be covering all those stuff in this session. Then we will talk about writing comments and doc strings. So comments are very important when you are working on a large project, because let's say if you have written some logic 6 months back and now just for due to some issue in your code, or let's say there is some requirement change in the code, you have to go back to that block of the code, and then you have to understand what exactly you have written six months back, right? So just for making the debugging tasks easier, we can just write the comment in every block of at the starting or at the end of every block of the code, so that once you go back to that block of the code after a very long time, you can easily understand what codes were written at that time. Okay, and then doc strings are very important when we really want to document our project. So I'll show you how we can write single line comments, multi-line comments, and then doc strings. All those things will be covered in this session. Then we will move towards variables, constants, and literals. So how to declare and define variables, constants, and literals in Python. All those things will be covered here in this session. Then we will talk about object types. Normally in any programming language, we have data types, but since in Python, when we define any, or you can say when we declare any variable, when we initialize any variable, Python takes everything in the form of object. Okay, so it takes everything in the form of object, and that is why instead of data types, we will talk about the different object types in Python. Okay, then we will move towards operators in Python. What are the different types of operators in Python? Like assignment operator is there, relational operator is there, bitwise operator is there. Then we will see operator precedence also, and some other types of operators are also available in Python. So we will talk about all those things in this session. Then we will move towards control flow statement. So in this session, we will talk about if the conditional statements like if, elif, else statement. Then we have jump statements also like break and continue. Then we have looping statements also like for loop, while loop. Okay, so all those things will be covered in this session. Then we will talk about strings. So strings is again a very important thing in Python. String is a sequence type in Python, and we will see how to manipulate each and every character of string, how to access individual characters of a string, then how we can loop over the characters of the string. So all those things will be covered in this string session, and also we will talk about some important methods of handling and or manipulating strings. Okay, then we will move towards list. List is again a sequence type in Python. So again we can store different types of elements in a single list, and we'll see how we can loop over the elements of list, how we can access individual elements of list, and then we will see what are the different or important methods of handling elements in the list. Okay, then we will talk about tuple. Tuple is again a sequence type in Python. So here also we will be seeing how to access individual elements of tuple, then how to loop over the elements of tuple, then what are the important methods of handling or manipulating elements of the tuple. Okay, then dictionary. Dictionary is a mapping type. Okay, so it's a mapping type of object in Python. So here we have key value pairs. Again we will see how we can access individual key value pair of a dictionary, then how we can loop over the dictionary, then what are the important functions for dictionary. Then we will talk about functions. So function is it is very important in the case when we are working on a large project and we want to use the advantage of code modularization as well as code reuse. So I'll show you how you can create function in Python, how you can call function in Python, how you can return single value from Python function, then how you can return more than one value from Python function, what are the different types of parameters that you can pass as an input to Python function. So all those things will be covered in this session. Then we will discuss input and output. So in the input session, I'll show you how you can pass input values at runtime, because normally we used to hard code the values in the Python program, but let's say there is a requirement that user wants to pass the value at the runtime. So I'll show you how you can use this input function ability of Python to pass the input at runtime. And then output function. So for output we have already seen print function, and then in this session I'll show you how you can format your output based on the values. Okay, so all those things will be covered in this session. Then we will move towards the another section of Python, which is called Introduction to OOPS, or object oriented programming. So in this session we will just talk about what is exactly object oriented programming language, why we use object oriented programming language. So all those things will be covered in this session. Then we will see how we can create classes and objects in Python. Okay. Then we will talk about the 4 different features of any object-oriented programming language, that is inheritance, polymorphism, abstract classes, and interfaces. So we'll see how we can define all those 4 features as per our requirement in Python programming. Okay. Then we will move towards exception handling. So normally when error arises in our code, or when error occurs in our code, what happens? Our code just breaks. So exception handling gives you the ability to handle your errors, okay, so that it does not break the normal flow of the code. Okay, so 2 types of exceptions are there. One is system defined function, which Python already provides you, and then we can also create our own exception, which we call it as a user defined exception. So we will see how we can use the system defined exception, as well as how we can create our own exception and how we can call our own exception in our Python code. Okay. Then we will talk about Python file handling. So file handling inside this session, we will talk about 2 different types of file handling. First one is the text file. So how you can read and write the data into the text file. And similarly, we will see how we can read or write data into the binary file as well. So binary files are nothing but our image files or audio files or video files. So I'll show you how you can handle the data in this session. Then we will talk about regular expressions in Python. So this topic is very, very important when we work on the project like data analytics or data cleaning task, because let's say if there is a very large text and someone asks you to identify some words which have a common pattern. Okay, so it becomes very difficult, because reading each and every line one by one and then reading each and every word one by one, it becomes a very difficult task. Okay, so with the help of the regular expression, this task becomes easier. So you can just use the regular expression to identify those words from a very large text which follows the same pattern. Okay, so I'll show you how you can do this with the help of regular expression. And then finally we will talk about date and time handling. So date and time handling is pretty much important thing in Python, because when we get any date or time, let's say if date is coming or date along with time is coming and you want to convert it into a different format, so with the help of the date and time handling ability, you can convert it into your own desired format. Okay, so all those things we will talk about in date and time handling session. So these are the major topics that anyone must know if he or she wants to get proficiency in Python language. Once these topics will be covered, I'll be covering some more advanced topic that will be my next section of the videos which I'll be posting. But till this point, if you really want to understand what Python is all about and what you want to clear everything, the basics about Python, so you can just easily like my video and subscribe to my channel, because when next time I'll post any of my session, so you will easily get the notification. Okay, so that's all for this session. See you in the next session. Thank you.